Hi everyone, I'm Anthony. This is Starlight Activation. I have kind of a really interesting situation. I just woke up from a reoccurring dream. Um, I believe it's a prophetic dream because what I'm seeing is, and we're going to talk about politics, and I'm not worried about offending anyone that doesn't align with what my beliefs are, because I believe if you're watching this channel, you are inclined to be a light worker, or at least you're spiritual, and you're going to understand exactly what I've been talking about. So I'm going to describe the dream, and then I'm going to go into a little bit of the backstory as to why this is relevant and happening to me. I do believe there's a divine intervention once again at hand in my life. So the dream was about the current political status going on right now in the United States. And at the taping of this, the bulk load of a lot of the Epstein memos and letters and files that's from the estate, not the one that's being held up in the Congress and the Senate, has been released. And so new information is coming about with the felons' connection and high power people's connection with the Epstein and their knowledge of trafficking over a great amount of time and a vast number of victims. And my dream was showing current political figures that their masks were coming off. You were seeing their true nature, and they were starting to witness the downfall of their evil. I'm not going to go into specifics of actually who I saw this happening to. I'm just going to tell you that in my dream, it was news channels that I was watching in my dream, and I was seeing people that were entrenched in this cult, that now their mask was coming off and you could see their true identity. It's like their true identity, their true evil, and the reason why they've been covering this up, generally for political, financial, institutional issues that they felt they had the right to do. And when I say they had the right to do, this is, everyone has a choice. Everyone has free will. But when you have the choice and you choose to want to destroy a group of people and allow their continual victimization over decades, there is a reckoning. What have I said over and over again? In the universe, there will be balance. What is out of balance will come into balance. I did a video a few episodes back talking about how the culture that's happening in the world today is affecting the cosmos, and how that what happens on Earth affects everything, and the universe is self-correcting. How is that happening? It's happening by, if you are a light worker or you suspect you're a light worker, you are going to be activated, because our job now is to bring the world back into balance, to restore harmony. Because remember, we are all light and love and energy. And so when the energy that's been out there for the billions of masses that have been following this cult, believing in its hate, believing in this false prophet, yes, I'm going to go right to it right now. I believe the felon is the incarnation of what could be the Antichrist. If you look back, I read an article months ago where someone had written a fantastic biblical scholar had shown these are the signs you will see in the Antichrist. The felon fits every single one of them. Someone coming to rise in power, and then the downfall of the mighty that have fallen and caved to this. Now, something else is at play. There's a lot of stuff going on, people. It's going to be a long video. I'm sorry. So for 2 days on my YouTube feed, I've been seeing All the President's Men movie. with Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford. So I finally decided to watch it. And I was blown away by the irony of what happened in the 70s and what's happening now is very similar. That movie is all about how President Nixon was forced out of the presidency by the corruption of the Republicans and what they were trying to do to their Democratic opponents. And it was massive. It was just massive. And the interesting thing is that it was a news organization that broke this and stood against everyone and the norm at the time as a beacon of truth. And that's something we don't have now. Our mainstream institutions have failed us. Our media has failed us. Our media that tries to normalize the felon and give him so much leeway when they will not do it for anyone else. I used to be a massive follower of CNN. I do not ever listen to anything that comes out of anyone on CNN because I saw how under this term, the felon was able to bend media at his will. And you saw that no more apparent than look at ABC, and I think it was ABC and Disney's to Jimmy Kimmel's broadcast about one comment that wasn't even a derogatory comment about the event that took place that got him knocked off of the air. And then look at the backlash of the public that were finally coming forward. So we've seen this gradual increase in the erasing of all of our institutions, all of our houses of leadership, where it was just pointed out that literally the Republicans have already left session early for Thanksgiving after having 80-something days paid vacation. And look what's happening to the entire country. If you haven't seen it on YouTube, there's a lot of videos out there right now where people are showing exactly what groceries are costing in their hometowns. And the one thing that was most interesting said, see what $10 can buy you. $10 bought this one gentleman a loaf of average bread and a carton of eggs. That's $10. There's people all over the internet showing exactly, like one lady had a table, a small table, and it was $75 worth of groceries. How out of whack we are with what should be going on. So everything that the felon had promised, of course, was a false promise. He was always about his greed. Now, I have said for decades now, I have never been an advocate, and I have told you I am from a Republican family, and my family voted for him his first term. And I was appalled because I knew his stance on gay rights. And I lived in Florida. I lived in South Florida. I lived not far from Mar-a-Lago. And you couldn't go anywhere in Florida and not hear about Trump. And, oh, I'm sorry, the felon. And it's not positive news. It's all over the media there all the time. It just doesn't make national headlines about the countless subcontractors that file bankruptcy because he never pays them. And he has said many, many, many times he has a massive team of lawyers, and he does. That's how he's bankrupted so many corporations and not been held accountable. It's just one thing after another. And his massive reliance, yes, on undocumented workers, even at Mar-a-Lago. So he is, in fact, a massive hypocrite. And not only is it that, he's just been out to prove that his daddy's boy money, that he could do more with it. But here's someone who was handed a fortune and just did nothing but evil with it. So that tells you his intents from the very beginning. When he was young, he's always done this. He's always bankrupted other people so that he could climb higher. And he's wanted to build this fake facade of how gaudy gold fixtures equate to either wealth or your design aesthetics. Let me tell you, that's the furthest thing from any of the clients I ever wanted to work with when I was in the design industry. Nobody wants that kind of crap. But he loves that kind of crap. But I said years and years ago, any man that would put his face on toilet paper and sell it was no good. That was enough for me. So in watching the movie, it was a very interesting contrast to what America had gone through and didn't learn our lesson, and what we're going through now. And we're suffering the repercussions of a cult that has risen just like Nazi Germany did. And it's no different. It's the same thing. You can't spout with your American flag and your Confederate flag and then not be held accountable when your neighbors and your friends and co-workers and the people that live in your community are being yanked out of their homes, from schools, from churches, held in detention centers for an eternity, and then you sit back in your easy chair drinking your beer and thinking, oh, how great it is that you're finally getting justice. If you're low trash white in America, you're where you are because of your own decisions. And you know who I'm talking to if you happen to watch this video. Low trash white, I know low trash. I've lived in the South. I know what it's like. I've heard the people that want to blame everybody else because they're not smart enough to get an education and don't have the gumption to dig themselves out of it. And if you want to look at someone else who's just like that, all you got to do is look at JD. Mascara Marin JD. He is one who is supposedly risen above, but look what he's tied his little evil self next to. All these people that have sold themselves out because they want power, it's all going to be taken away from them. This is all fake. It's all going to be taken away from them. So I want to contrast this, this dream I had, to the felon's first term in office. The very first day after the first election, I was on a layover in LA, and I was working the first flight out that morning to Miami. So I was working a transcon. And of course, it was an early morning flight. The presidency had been announced. Yes, I was devastated. I could not believe America had voted in a moron that has no educational level, that has no ability to even speak eloquently, and there was no way is going to be able to do anything on a world stage for us. Part of my crew, I had one Trumper that actually was wearing a lot of red, white, and blue paraphernalia, and she was all excited that day. I was working at the forward part of the cabin, and I was greeting my passengers as they came through, and I literally was making a mental note how it seemed like everyone was in a daze or they were going to a funeral, because the somber mood in that plane. Now remember, I'm in California, and probably most of the people that were on my plane were Democrats, and they had just realized that we had lost an election to someone that nobody saw happening, and no one actually gave him a chance at winning, and then he did win. I had to pull my flight attendant aside twice because she was going through and she was just being so excited, and she was saying out loud she didn't understand why people weren't more excited about this, and going on and on and on. I had people in my cabin crying that they were that upset. I pulled her apart twice and I said, you've got to calm down, because there are people on this plane that don't believe what you believe, and you need to be a little more sensitive. And she still didn't get it. Because that's the mentality of the cult. They only see things from their perspective. They don't see the higher connection, how we all are connected. It's like you can't be an island. The United States is not an island. And just look how in that first presidency, how he treated Puerto Rico. And when Puerto Rico's voted the second term, or the second office term, I couldn't believe it, because I was living in Miami at the time, and I saw the backlash of how they were treated. And I would work flights constantly to Puerto Rico after the devastation of their hurricane, and him showing up and throwing paper towels at them and smiling. And he's just never been able to have a real moment to connect with anyone. His disgrace at our veterans is sickening to me. And I have worked military flights, and I can tell you that's the most glorious thing you can ever witness, is to be on a military flight. I was on just one this past year where we took one of the last survivors to Hawaii. I didn't get to work that flight. I worked his pre-flight that was getting him to Texas. And it was such an honor to talk to him. And the plane was just amazed at the stories. He was just a very real person. And he was so honored that he was getting to go on this trip. And so it's that set inside next to what's happening with the felon. Now, so in my dream, I believe I saw the connection, and I've seen this before. I've said many, many times that the reason why light workers are being assembled is because we have to help in this shift. We have to help in this global shift of bringing the world back into balance. So yes, we have to go through a dark night of the soul collectively for the world to see and for the corruption to be exposed, which it will. It eventually will all come out, and it will be his demise. I mean, he fled, as at the taping of this, he fled to Mar-a-Lago because reporters for the first time asked him directly an Epstein question, and he refused, and he walks off and then goes to Florida. So I believe the shift that's happening is because we're going to be needed to be activated so that we can bring an enlightenment to the harmony and to helping awaken people. So I know that's why I'm here. I know my message is here for a reason. It's no secret that I worked that first flight under the felon's presidency, and I witnessed firsthand the reactions on day one of that presidency, which led to an insurrection. And it was also interesting that yesterday I saw another news feed where another one of his insurrectionist pardons had committed another crime. It was another molestation case. And you can kind of get the general theme here. The Republicans are apparently about hiding child molesters and trafficking. And I can tell you firsthand, as a flight attendant, I have witnessed human trafficking. I spotted it myself. I reported it myself. I even had a crew member that did not want to assist me, that they were scared of getting involved. And I really was pissed that they weren't willing to stand up. I noticed something happening. I let the captain know. Fortunately, we were in a foreign country, and I let him know the situation. He said, okay. He contacted ground support, and they said, since we were coming back into the United States, the easiest way to catch them would be to get them in customs. And I said, okay. He said, so we're going to fly with them, just monitor them, make sure nothing is going to happen, but we'll fly with them, and then we'll detain them in the United States. So yes, when we got into the United States and went through customs and immigration, that's when they were able to detain the individual that had someone with them that I believe was being human trafficked. And it's something that I'm just going to tell you from my point of view, it's something I knew immediately. I had been involved in situations before where I knew when we were being profiled. Profile meaning that someone comes on the plane and you can tell they're wanting to get as much information about what happens in that flight deck for a bad reason. Because you guys know I'm an empath, I can read energy. I reported that when it happened, and that individual was taken off the flight. Because it happened during boarding. So being a light worker and empathic, it really does suit me in my job because I can be the gateway. I can be the gate stop to find something and seek them and try to intervene if possible. So I've had some experience at work, and I love my job. My job to me is fun 24/7 when I'm with my passengers and my passengers are in a good mood and I can help anyone that I need to. It's amazing. I love the energy that interacts on a plane. But there's sometimes when you can just see something, you feel something, you know something, and you know it on a deep level. It's your intuition telling you something is going on. So I encourage you, if you're a light worker and you feel that, if you've not been activated yet, to start doing your research. Please call out to me if you have any questions specifically. But the whole reason in bringing this up is that because of the shift that we're about to undergo, and it's going to hit a major stride now going forward, because now even Republicans, even some Republican senators are jumping ship. Now, the one thing I am going to be concerned about is I want accountability to happen. So I don't believe that anyone who's ever voted with the felon will be able to hold office going forward. Like, I'm in Texas, and our senator here has ads going 24/7, how he votes 99.9% with Trump. And every time I see that, I'm like, you just doomed your career, because that's what it's going to be like. There will be a reckoning across this world, but especially in the United States, where we will turn away from all of this evil and finally open our eyes and getting back to what's important, to what's necessary, and that's being a community, helping one another. It all goes back to Jesus' teachings. You don't throw out the downtrodden. You don't step over them or stomp on them or throw them in a prison. No, you help elevate them. You don't let them go hungry. You help feed them. You don't let them go without shelter. You help home them. You work with pieces of society to bring us all up to a level to where we all can be, I guess for a better word, on that higher plane, or can feel proud of our situation. And we don't know what has happened to any one person as to how they either became homeless and I will talk about this. I've worked nonprofits for years. And one of my best friends, Michelle, always worked in homeless services. And I worked in disability services, specifically for people that were HIV positive and had full-blown AIDS. And we would always talk about the true homeless veterans, the true homeless don't stand on a street corner with a sign. They're very proud. Some of them choose to be homeless for a reason. They are unplugging from the grid for a reason. They're unplugging from the matrix for a reason. They choose this lifestyle. So there was a really cool program in Florida where we worked in one of my jobs to at least get a camping tent for our homeless, because it rains a lot in Florida. There's a lot of homeless populations where the weather is warmer and more tepid, and you've got places where people can sleep and not be seen. And so we had a program where we were able actually to help people get tents to where they would have some shelter. So this is a population that I didn't realize back then that they were unplugging from the matrix for a reason. But it makes perfect sense now, because I can see that now. But the interesting juxtaposition between the movie All the President's Men and what's happening right now. So in seeing the structures fail in the cult, it's going to go from the lowest person up to the mightiest. So there needs to be also a shift in how we look at corporations. And if you want to Google what corporations fund Project 2025, if you want to look at corporations that fund the felon, you want to look at his major donors that fund his campaign. Because remember, he has never stopped campaigning from day one when he was first in office until he's still asking for money now from his followers. So it's a way for you to wake up a little bit. To do a little part is to boycott a company that you know has been actively pursuing this agenda, the agenda of milking the American public of all of our standards, our institutions, all of our laws, and breaking us down to where they can say, see, that's the evil over there, when the evil is within them. So that's really my point of the video. I hope this comes across. Normally, I will put notes together for a video. I just woke up and I told my guides, hey, we're going to do it. I'm going to talk about the first time the felon was in office. And I was there and I experienced that plane flight and how traumatic that was for my passengers, and how I had this one flight attendant that was oblivious to the world, and how things that I've seen just in my little sphere of influence that I've had. So I hope it resonates. If not, just say, oh my God, it's Anthony. He had a dream and I had to get the message out. When you're given the dream, you have to get the message out. And the dream didn't just happen one time, it was 3 times. So it's not like I could ignore the dream because it was like on a replay. I'd wake up a little bit. I'm like, why am I having that dream? And then replay. And then I got to go to the bathroom, go back to bed, replay. So I joke about that because I've told my guides many times, if you're going to send me a message in a dream, you better make sure I'm awake and I can understand it, because when I wake up, usually I don't have full recall. But this dream, yes, I have full recall. I was seeing many leaders across multiple states, not just Congress, not just the Senate. I'm talking about other people in power in local areas that have put up their banner with this felon. And yes, the felon's downfall is part of that. Yes, I see things crumbling. Vision was in my dream as I saw things crumbling, as in they were charred. That's what I saw. I could see things falling apart. And I saw it as the cult falling apart, imploding on itself. And it's going to be quite interesting going forward. So I hope you guys, I hope someone finds this relevant, because I wouldn't have gotten the dream if someone's not going to find it relevant. So anyway, until you see me in the air as your flight attendant, or on my next video upload, I'm giving you nothing but light and love. And you guys have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video.